Hey, everybody, it's Lauren Lee with the Lauren Lee Group and eXp Realty here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I have a really fabulous guest today. Her name is Hollie Kitchens, a branding specialist out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. How are you today, Hollie?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am so excited to chat with you today about branding. We all need to work on branding, but it's hard to kind of wrap your head around it, understand what things are meaning branding, what branding does, different audiences. It just seems kind of complex to me.
100%. And it's something too that everyone in business needs, though. It's almost like it's one of those things that we kind of put off or we don't ever think through until it's like, oh man, I've wasted so much time on putting out content that wasn't really on brand or building up an audience that's not necessarily who I want to market or attract. So it's definitely something that every business, no matter what industry you're in, but especially real estate agents need.
Absolutely. I have you here for just myself,
Yeah,
literally.
I love it.
This is just for me. And of course, all of you guys listening because I want to share. But I literally want to learn from you today. I have definitely tried to increase my social media presence, but I do have all those questions like what is this going to do for potential buyers and sellers? What is this going to do so that people can acknowledge me as maybe a local expert or someone that they can reach out to learn about my company, to learn about EXP, to learn about how to grow their business? How does it all shake out? Where would we start?
Yeah, so I think where a lot of people miss the mark is they're focused too much on, oh, I want to have a pretty brand or I want a nice look and feel, but they don't really start. Like, that's not the starting place, at least in my opinion. My opinion, when you're wanting to create an effective brand that attracts your ideal client, your ideal customer, whatever, insert name here, um, you've really got to think about them first when crafting your brand. So understanding like who's your brand for? Because we all know if you're for everybody or for no one.
Yeah.
So instead of being focused on, oh, I want to have a pretty font or oh, I want to have a pretty color scheme, those are obviously great things in a brand. Don't get me wrong, but you've also understand who's your brand representing. What problems are they solving? So I think that's the place to start is who's my avatar? And for those who aren't familiar with what an avatar is, it's your ICP, your ideal client profile. It's those people you love to do business of, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want more clients of you, like you. That's your avatar. So getting into the mind of that client and saying, okay, how can I create a brand that's going to attract them? So, for instance, if I'm creating a boutique for women that are between 20 and 35, I'm probably not going to have my brand approach, in camo in bold stencil letters, right? Because that's not my brand that avatar would gravitate towards. So yeah, there's psychology in colors. There's, taking consideration in fonts too for your brand look and feel. But I think starting out with who you're getting clarity on who you're trying to attract first and then bringing those other elements in definitely sets a solid foundation for a fantastic brand.
That sounds amazing. It sounds easy, but it's not.
It's one of those things too. You just have to take time. We all have the time we work in the business, but we have to make the time to work on the business. And that's just part of those. Okay, I've got to sit down. Maybe it's taking yourself to a weekend retreat and by
Mhm.
yourself in a cabin and locking yourself away for a weekend and saying, okay, who's my audience? Who am I trying to attract? But once you get that, and then the key to all of those ingredients, once you understand who you're going for, you have that brand look and feel, then it's like now you have to it's go time and staying consistent with those things. So like for instance, if you're like, okay, this is my brand colors, teal, black, and white. Got it. This is what I'm committing myself to. But then the next week you post in purple and green. That's just not brand consistency. And you want it to where people see your stuff and they're like, oh, that is Hollie Kitchens. That's like an all like black on black post because like that's my brand colors, right? Like pretty much black is my main color, and then I have like whites and reds to kind of for pops of color because obviously you can't just read black on black text. But it's understanding that'd be very off brand for me to go and start doing things in hot pink. So I think it's having that brand awareness, but then within the look and feel, it's also the messaging too. So if you're trying to attract, first time home buyers, you're not going to be posting about luxury homes that are, $4 million homes, right? Because Usually, typically the first time home buyers, they're not going to start out in a $4 billion home. So it's understanding that, understanding who you service, and then just blowing them away with fantastic content.
So I have another question.
What you got?
Do platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, do these all have a different audience that is more attracted to one platform, or does it matter? Or is it just go to all of them? They're all equal platforms, or do you differentiate your audience with the platform that you're posting on?
100%. They're definitely different platforms with the different types of content that you'll push out to them. So I always tell clients when starting out, like, because there's so many, it's overwhelming. You got to think of Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. That's just a handful that's off the top of my head. I know there's so many more. But when you start doing that, you start getting overwhelmed. And I know if anyone's like me, when you start getting overwhelmed, you just kind of shut down. You're like, why am I even doing this? I don't have time. I barely have time to brush my teeth in the morning. How am I going to be on all these platforms at once? So I think it's understanding a couple of things when you're trying to commit to a platform. I think it's understanding what am I most comfortable at? Like for me, TikTok, I think it's fun, but it's just not my jam. I'm not super like comfortable with TikTok, right? So TikTok's probably not going to be that. So that's going to be an element of decision is, am I comfortable and I can familiarize myself with this platform? Because obviously if you can't show up on the platform, it's useless. Two, is my audience on there? So, there's so many great statistics out there. I think Sprout Social does a great annual statistic gathering of who's on what platforms, down to the demographics, the sociographics, things like that. But if you look at to say, my demographic is, I say I sell, I don't know, preteen clothing, right? And my target audience is like 13-year-olds and things like that. Although you can't advertise, I don't think, in those or to that age group. But just for this example, that 13-year-old is probably going to be on TikTok versus LinkedIn, where you see a lot of CEOs and professionals. Now flip it. If my demographic is somebody that's a senior executive, that's an age demographic between 55 and 65, they're probably not going to be on TikTok as much as they would be on LinkedIn. So I think there's just a lot of elements to take in consideration when you're understanding what platform you're going to dominate. But for me, I always like to tell people, if you aren't certain, Facebook and Instagram are the top priority, the first go-tos, just because those are the top outside of YouTube. They're the top used platforms. And obviously Facebook is going to be number one, but it does, be cohesive with Instagram since they're sister companies. You can schedule posts to both of them. So I always tell people, like, go with what you're comfortable with. And obviously you got to go with where your avatar is at, right? Because there's no point of showing up on a platform if your audience isn't there. So I think once you understand that, and then maybe, obviously social media is something free and we want to take advantage of it, but we also want to make sure that we're being purposeful with it. For example, I have a LinkedIn profile. I just don't post to it as much as I do like Facebook, right? So like Facebook is more my jam. However, I do have it up to date. I do have fresh shots, that are cohesive with my brand. I do have my bio that's cohesive with all my other social media profiles. So it's okay not to say, okay, I'm going to be on all these profiles at once. But the most important, though, is making sure your brand's cohesive across all platforms. Because it can be easy for us to update a Facebook profile picture, but then forget about LinkedIn and updating that picture, right?
And then in and of itself, you're not consistent because they're looking at you here, they're looking at you there. Is that the same person? So we're kind of confusing our audience. So many details.
One thing too that I see that's like one of the most common, I don't want to say mistakes, but inconsistencies when it comes to a brand is a lot of people have multiple handles across all different profiles. So like, for instance, if we just started our Facebook group, and I know a lot of real estate agents listening in, you guys have profiles, you've probably had them for over 10 plus years. I mean, I got licensed in 2010. So like my profile's been there since 2010, right? My brand's also evolved since 2010. And I'm sure everyone listening in, maybe it's the name, maybe you've gotten married, maybe you've changed brokerages, maybe you've transitioned from active selling real estate to being a coach, whatever the case may be, our brands evolve. But I think it's understanding too, as we evolve, our online presence has to evolve as well. So another, like I said, the inconsistency I see a lot is handles. So just a quick homework item for everyone listening in: pull up your Instagram handle, pull up your Facebook profile, pull up your LinkedIn profile, and see, like, are they all cohesive?
Mhm.
So when I'm speaking on stages, I just tell everybody, hey, it's super simple. Follow me at Hollie Kitchens on across all platform. I
Yes.
do that intentionally because if you guys are invited to a surprise birthday party, you're not going to get different addresses to go to, right? Everyone's going to get the same address. And we need to send the same address to everyone digitally online too. So, like, for instance, if your Facebook profile is at selling homes in OKC, but then my Instagram profile is at Holly Realtor underscore OKC. You can see what I'm talking about, the inconsistencies there. So while you're talking to people or while you're especially on stage, you starting, doing these luncheons with other real estate agents and pouring into others, have it easy for them to find you because like you said, there's been times where I'm finding somebody, I'm like, hey, is this them or is this not them? Because it kind of looks like them, but it's not. It's an older picture, but maybe that's her cousin. I don't know. I think it's just brand consistency is so key when it comes to having multiple platforms and making sure we're cohesive across everywhere.
I mean, that is to me basic homework that I
Yeah.
need to myself
Yeah.
go back and fix some of my faux pas in how I set things up because as realtors, branding isn't something that we're trained in. As
Mhm.
realtors, we have a lot going on in different directions, but branding is really more important now with all of this different marketing out there, with all the social media, that we really do have to kind of educate ourselves on these new ways to market for free, because like you
Yeah.
said, this is free. And if we can learn how to do this and do it well, the sky's the limit, really, because,
100%.
you know, it's just out there. More people can find you. You can increase your business. You can increase your sphere. You can share your knowledge with more people. And I mean, it's just a growth place.
100%. And it's one of those things that, you just got to show up. That's like the most important thing too, is like show up, but in making sure too, like for me, I take time like on Sundays, I call it Sunday planning. But I mean, I didn't coin that. Actually, John coined that. But Sunday planning is going through and saying, okay, here's the week, planning out your content. Some of the stuff you can't necessarily pre-schedule. Like say, for instance, if I'm speaking at an event, I can't schedule pictures of me that haven't been taken yet, right? But I understand in my head, got to make sure I capture whatever, capture me traveling, capture me doing this. But I'm
Mhm.
mentally preparing myself so that I don't just react. Because I think we've all been there where we're like, oh man, I haven't posted in like a week. Let me just throw something up just to show people I'm alive. And that's going to confuse your audience. When you sit there and understand that, especially us in real estate, it's not about us and how great we are. It's about the people we serve. So asking yourself when you're trying to run, because I know a lot of people run out of like ideas for content. There's so many content ideas. Just start with what's it most issues I've seen a lot right
Mhm.
now. Maybe I've seen a lot of multiple offer situations and we can't win them. But what did we do to win that one? So sharing that as your content and making sure it's you instead of just sharing reports. Classic example is KCM reports. They're which is short for keeping current matters.
Mhm.
Amazing statistic company. Love them. They're awesome. But a lot of real estate agents also share the same graphics. So how can you differentiate that content? What you can do is you can review it and then now you can go live or you can do a reels about yourself telling about the overview of, say the January 2022 buyer statistics. Instead of just showing that graphic that everybody else is showing, how can you make it personalized and how can you make it you so that you're talking to your ideal customer and your client, however you're doing it in an effective personal branding way.
Wow, this is so motivating. I'm learning so much. It kind of excites me to kind of go back and like audit my profiles. Number one, get a design marketing plan for all my posts. So say you don't post that much. Say how much do you have to post to get power out there? So you're starting out. Is it effective if you just show up once a week? What is kind of the minimum to make like an impact?
So I always hear so many different numbers from people. Like for instance, I went to no, sorry, traffic conversion summit, and one lady that's all she does is social media for a living. Now, take that with understand too, like that's her job. She was saying everybody, you need to post 9 times a day, and for
Whew.
me, I am like I'm branding, and that like exhausted me. I'm like I'm lucky if I not post 9 times a week.
Yeah.
For me, my advice to people is make sure you do at least one post a day. And by meaning a post, I'm meaning a surface post. So it doesn't necessarily mean a post to your timeline. A post could be a story, a post could be a reel, a post can be an engagement post. But it's understanding like you are showing up to your
Mhm.
audience. And so like, for like today I haven't posted, but I will post a story, right? So I'm posting. It's making sure you're staying in front of your audience and then keeping an eye too on what you're posting. I think, Facebook has done such a fantastic way for insights to be easily pulled, and a lot of people don't take advantage of that. If you guys are utilizing a public figure page on Facebook as well as Instagram, visit those insights on Sundays and say, okay, what is my best performing piece of content? And that's the content you guys need to keep reinventing and keep doing, because that's what your audience is needing and loving. So I think when it comes to the number of posts, me personally, I feel like if you do one surface post a day, that's a great. Obviously, you want to do like one hard post and one story, but just to start out and ease into it to build up that social media muscle, just try once a day. Once, either a story, a reel, a live, a video, something so that your audience is seeing you and that you're not getting lost in the algorithm. Because we all know once you can work, spend hours on this fantastic post, but it's going to get lost in the feed within like 20 minutes. So that's just part of it too.
What about, okay, I've heard about this. I'm not obviously the social media professional you are. What is the buzz on likes? Does it really matter if you get likes or not? Is that not the objective, or is it just something that's out there?
I,
What's
I I actually had a conversation about this with a client earlier today. Like this is so it's like deja vu from like 2 hours ago. So for me, likes don't mean anything. I know that sounds terrible. No, don't get me wrong. It means that people are enjoying my content. However, I would rather get 10 likes from people who are going to do business with me than getting 1,000 likes from somebody who's never going to do business with me ever. So I think it's understanding it's not a popularity contest, it's a value add contest. And it's understanding like, who am I attracting? And it's so funny. I purposely tested reels the other day for this specific reason. So I always heard like, reels that go viral are the stupid ones that you don't think about, because that's just kind of like it's an entertaining short, whatever. So I did this reel, and I'm not saying I'm like a mega influencer, I don't have millions of followers or things like that, but I did this reel, and it was something silly like you close your eyes and it's like this filter apparently tells you your perfect eye color. And then you open your eyes and the filter changes your eye color, right?
yes.
That's no value add. That doesn't tell somebody how to build an effective personal brand, right? But I did
Mhm.
it. And that reel, it was so silly because it was like it literally went it,
Viral?
well, I wouldn't say viral. I would say micro viral, right? Because there's like a little bit of a difference there, right? So it's not like viral. I don't get millions of views, but it got a lot more views than my normal one. So
Mhm.
I checked the stats on last Friday when I just looked at it. Last Friday I had 6,000 views. I'm like, that's a lot of views for a reel that's like no value add. Today I have over 40,000, 42,000 views on that silly little. These are my eyes should be blue according to this filter. No value add. But I did one yesterday on getting burnt out, and when you're not focused on your why, that's whenever you get burnt out because you're too focused on the results. You're too focused on, oh, I've got to make one more sell, or I got to do this, I got to do that. But you don't understand, like, I got to fulfill one more client, or whatever motivates you. Only 295 views on that one.
Wow.
However, the people who reacted and responded to me in my DMs have either done business with me, like
Mhm.
paid for my services, or they're on my calendar to do business with me. So that just kind of tells you the power of focusing on, oh, I want to be popular. Like, here's my question to you guys. Do you guys want to be popular, or do you guys want to make money? Usually it's when it comes to us starting out in social media, it's not going to be both of them. Like we're not getting paid for posts like Kim Kardashian, right? So I think to me, it's the kind of the human nature. We all want to be acceptable. We all want to be liked. We all want to be popular. However, I will take those 295 views of people who are going to pay for my services and value my advice than the 42,000 people who probably majority of them are probably like 12-year-olds. They're never going to do business with me. So I think it's understanding that, and then and accepting it too, because so many people are like, oh, but I really want to be liked. Hey, it's okay, me too. But I want
Mhm.
to be liked by the people who are going to be paying me at the end of the day. I know that sounds very bad, but it's understanding too. It's like if you want to be if you want to be in a popularity contest, we might need to go back to high school. We're in business here. Like, you know what I mean?
Agree.
Who
Yeah,
at the end of
absolutely.
the day, if I only get 10 likes on a post or if I only get 1 like, that's
Mhm.
fine with me because I know that 1 like is probably gonna be something that's gonna do business with me when my content's on with purpose versus posting stuff just to post stuff.
Wow, this has been fabulous, Holly. Just in review, I kind of want to make sure that I'm, focusing on some of the top points that you mentioned, and that is that we just have to get out there. We
Mhm.
have to go to one of the social media platforms. We have to choose one that we can connect with, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, because those are the two most popular kind of go-to platforms. We need to organize ourselves so that just even our name is consistent, and then we just have to show up every day, provide value. But before we do that, we kind of need to identify who exactly we want to provide this value to. And then we just go have fun and post.
That's it. I mean, that's all it is. And understanding too, there's different types of content you guys are going to be posting out there. There's going to be the conversional pieces, so that's going to be your sales pieces. Maybe it's your just listed price homes. Maybe it's your hey, I'm a real estate agent type post. But then, like 80% of your content needs to be not that. It needs to be the value add. It needs to be the lifestyle that's going to attract lifestyle pieces that are going to attract those clients, right? So I think too, it's understanding that because so many people make the mistake of they're just posting like just sold, just sold, just sold. It's great to let people know that we're still in business and we're actively selling real estate, but that needs to be 20% of your content.
Yes, I agree. So then the next question I have is so what is that percentage? So we have 100%, we've
Yep.
got the conversion piece, we have our audiences. So how many audiences can you have and divide up so that you're not kind of spread too thin, right?
Yeah, 100%. Especially as real estate agents, we're going to have a lot of audiences, you guys. We're going to have buyers, we're going to have sellers, but then we have audiences from that. We have, divorce people coming in for sellers. We have newlyweds coming in. We have empty nesters. We have first-time home buyers. We have people who are growing up. There's just a lot of people groups within those categories. And I
Mhm.
think to me, there's not I don't want to say there's not a right or wrong way, but in my opinion, I feel like you pick the top, I would say maybe 2 or 3 that you really enjoy working with, and then really just put out that content. Because what's gonna happen is people are gonna see you selling real estate, and they're gonna still come to you even if they're like, first-time home buyer or something. They're gonna still see you putting your audience, your information out there and educating these people, and they're still gonna wanna go do business with you because they see you're actively selling real estate. But I would say always put your energy into obvious, we wanna work with the people we love working with. So who are those people you love working with? An example is whenever I was actively selling real estate, I love first-time home buyers. It was fun going through the educational process and seeing the excitement of them owning their first home versus someone else in the office that was a colleague of mine. She loved investors. Now it's so funny because I hated investors. I don't want to drive around showing $40,000 properties all day long with you. And then like, you know what I mean?
I do.
However, she loved it because she knew too, like, well, she had her people that they would just go, she's trained them to go, look for whatever, buy it sight unseen, but then she'd also get the flip of them after they flipped it, she would
Double
sell the
dipping.
listed property, right? So like that was her jam. Now the content that if she wanted to create, if she wanted to create more investors, she's not going to going through and doing first time home buyer education pieces, right? Would they come to her? Absolutely, because they're seeing her do real estate. However, she's going to put out more investor focused content. So I think to me, it's like understanding like who do you love working with, and start putting out content that attracts them. I mean, Nicole Espinosa is a fantastic example. She's a short sale queen, right?
Mhm.
Like she even is branded the short sale queen. So and that's one of those things again, pull my teeth out. I don't want to deal with like that's just something that's like a lot painful, right?
Oh yeah.
However, how many referrals does she get because she's cracked that code within her for herself and then she enjoys it. So my question to you guys is what code needs to be cracked that you need to say, you know what? I am the expert at first time home buyers. I'm the expert at luxury. I'm expert at insert whatever here and then show up as that person. I think we try to be all things for all people. And I
Yes.
think it's understanding like, wait a minute, who do I love working with? And let's just do some content that's going to attract that avatar the most.
That's fabulous. Well, today I want to let all the agents know that I want to focus on branding and that you can too. I want to thank you, Hollie Kitchens, for being that branding strategist and giving us so many tips to go out there and really not be intimidated. Not be intimidated by social media. Just start showing up, start posting, be thoughtful, like you said, do some pre-planning. Don't just think that any old post is maybe an okay post. I mean, there is a point where if you're going to show up, maybe put that little bit of planning in so that you know that
Mhm.
you're not just going to be all over the place, which I'm sure myself and potentially other agents have felt like they were in
Hey,
that.
we are all guilty of it. If you're not guilty of it, then you're probably not posting at all.
But
And
see, that's learning. We have to start
100%.
place and we kind of learn.
100%. And, to touch too, to kind of connect all these dots back into the local. How do you grow this locally? I
Mhm.
think, taking all those strategies, but then also implementing them with a local touch. So, if it's a public figure page that you guys created or a business page, if you will, understanding you can turn that public figure page into more of a like lifestyle or a topic page. So you could do like, real estate agent in, like I lived in a community in Texas called Light Farms, right? So I could say Hollie Kitchens. Well, that was in a small town called or a town called Prosper. So I could say Hollie Kitchens, Prosper Realtor, or whatever the case may be. But really dial in that area that you specialize in. Andrew Gadosh does a fantastic way of doing this with his lake lifestyle.
Mhm.
What's your not only who are you going after, but where are they? And then just to hammer it in and always be known as that expert in that area. Interview like you and I are doing right here. Interview those people in those areas. Interview the people at the local restaurants. Interview the people who are of some kind of authority. The school board's a good one. Mayors, big big time home builders in the area. Really focus in that area and those people and create a lifestyle blog, if you will, but on a Facebook, a lifestyle, Facebook page where people go there and they want to know if they want to know what it's like to live in Prosper or what it's like to live in Light Farms. They know, hey, go check out this girl, Hollie Kitchens. She's always on it and doing all this stuff with go-karts. And I really didn't, but I'm just throwing this out as an example. But she's doing all this stuff. Create that avatar of that real estate agent that's going to attract those buyers in, right? So understanding again, it's always going back to your ideal client and then showing up as that person that they need that'll attract them.
I love that, in the end, you brought it back to local.
Yeah.
Do it and be an expert in where you live, where you want to do business, and just focus on being that local expert and providing that value and that rhythm of posting and providing value. That's what we need to
Yeah.
do.
You can create a community, a Facebook group of, what's going on in Edmond, Oklahoma, things to do in Edmond, Oklahoma, and be known as that expert. Have your page be tied to that page. So it's like, this group of admins recommend this page. Have it tied back to your professional page. Don't post your just sold, just listed houses. I mean, maybe you can put like a coming soon, maybe, perhaps if people are thinking about it, but
Mhm.
post more of like community events. Post
Mhm.
more of like what's going on, or hey, it's Easter egg hunts at there's the top 10 places to go hunt Easter eggs, right? Because me personally as a parent, I don't even know where Easter egg hunts happen until like the weekend before. I'm scrambling on Facebook trying to figure out where to go. Create a community where people don't have to think about other than just go into that group to ask, hey, what's going on here? Or, hey, I saw the Taco Bell went out of business. What do you think's going to go in there next?
Mhm.
Random stuff like that that nosy people in the community want to know. Post it on there so that that's the place that they go and find it and be known as that person. Get connected with your local chamber of commerce. Get those connections. That's not only going to help you as somebody to provide value, but also you're building up your Rolodex of very important people that know you. So whenever they're at a party and someone says, "I'm thinking about selling my home," oh my gosh, you've got to go talk to Hollie Kitchens because she's on it. So just some of the kind of things to think through. You guys can look at Facebook groups. You guys can look at just pages in general itself that are lifestyle focused, and just really create that content out there that's going to attract those people. I mean, obviously, geotags are going to be super helpful, tagging in and checking in on locations, and then also you can ping people within a radius of those areas to attract that.
Mhm.
Community events are always important too. You could do like snow cones or whatever the case may be. I know you guys obviously know how to get out into the community, but just a reminder of just getting involved in the community. If you really want to be known as a community expert, you got to show up as a community expert.
Absolutely. Gosh, Holly, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate all the ideas that you've given us. They're all meaty and they're all going to really, doing each one of these tasks is going to, make a difference. They're all active tasks that will really perpetuate us expanding our audiences and bringing value to our potential clients and hopefully expanding our financial situation as well.
100%. I thank you so much for having me on. It was so much fun.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll talk to you soon then, Holly. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.